The George Weems Memorial Hospital Board of Directors meeting. Our vision is providing quality and care close to home. June 26, 25, at 9 o'clock a.m. This meeting is now called to order. Do we have a quorum? Yes, we do. Heather, we get everything posted correctly?
Yes, sir.
I'd like Mr. Walker to take several death.
Yes, we have a death of one of our PRN nurses, Heather Fairclough, died in a tragic car accident here in Apalachicola. So let's just have a moment of silence for her. Thank you.
Thank you, David. The next item is public comment. Do we have any public comment? Just so. Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting? Motion. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? No. Minutes are approved. Mr. Walker, employee of the month.
Yes, before I read Employee of the Month, Kristen Willis is not here today, but she did send me a note wanted me to read to the board because she's not here. She said, I want to extend my apologies for not being able to attend this morning's board meeting. My husband is undergoing surgery at Mayo Clinic. I need to be by his side today. While I'm able to be present, I do not want to miss this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to the team at Alliant for their generous donation and ongoing commitment to our community. She's speaking about Alliant made a water donation to the city of Apalachicola, 19 pallets of water. Their support is deeply valued, and I remain inspired by their spirit of partnership and impact. Please note that I continue to hold the mission close. I look forward to reconnecting with you in the board very soon. A big thank you to Colleen Zester for her generosity. And Colleen Zester is assisting with the benefit that we're having for a former employee husband that worked at the hospital on July 3rd with our upcoming benefit. Thank you to you, Mr. Walker and Craig Gibson, for your support and engagement in setting up the Aqua Pro station. This is a blessing to our community during this difficult time. So we were talking more about the water situation in Apalachicola, some of the things that what we've done here at the hospital. When Craig Gibson does his report, we'll talk about that. So Kristen wanted me to mention that to the board members.
David, thank y'all for your contribution to the city of water. A lot of stress right now.
And the city of Apalachicola mayor wanted me to send it. Thank you also. Mr. Kozar is also watching by the board there.
That was a great thing to do. Thank you.
Also, now, our Employee of the Month was nominated, Monica Burns. She's a RN nurse here. And the person that nominated Monica said, every shift Monica works, she excels in all of the above attributes. She takes charge, acting as house supervisor, even though she's rarely assigned that role to related weekday shifts, most often work. She's high energy and works at 100% all the time for all of her patients. She's the first to jump, take care of patient needs. No patients wait for care with her. She often takes care of outpatients with great care, detail, while working her shifts. She volunteers to help other patients, is patient, and can and is very, very dedicated. Monica has customer service, professionalism, initiative, integrity, accountability, and respect. Those are the traits that she carries as part of our RN nurse. Monica been here a number of years now, right, Courtney? How many years Monica been? 5 or 6 years, but she's a pleasant individual to work with. She's not here today, she's off today, but she's one of our RN nurses that was nominated. So let's just give her a clap while she's not here. And before I move on, I know Dr. Conrad and Courtney will give their report also. I just want to just say our team here, they do a lot of work, providing care to the people in our community. Last night we had an unfortunate incident here with somebody, child passed away. And, the care that Dr. Conrad and Courtney and the whole team, how they work with that family, it was amazing. We providing quality care, but with compassion. And oftentimes you really don't know that you know, a lot of things that happen here, you know, we're trying to save lives, you know, every day here at this hospital. And sometimes, you know, it goes remiss, you know, because of all the other stuff we do. But you know, it was a sight to see. You know, our hearts. You know, we're praying for the family. Of course, a lot of families that come in and EMS. You know, the work that they did as well. So I just want to just continue to thank our team. You know, here at the hospital. You know, everybody put their hands to the plow. You know, to provide care here. So oftentimes, a lot of things, you know, we don't see from the outside. You know, a lot of things happen on the inside, and it happens daily. And so I just want to just continue to, you know, thank them for the service. I know Conrad is speaking in a few minutes on this report.
Dr. Conrad, I got a question.
I want to add something before that question. The person Mr. Walker left out was our CEO, who cares about this community, who was also there hands-on. So he also deserves recognition. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Well, we got it. Thank you. I do have a question. And I know doctors, nurses, I guess you're trained to see a lot of upsetting things. I reckon that would be the medical school and nursing school. But I know you can't erase it. Although we expect you to keep performing and not bother. Do we offer psychological counseling? Is it available to some of our staff?
Not to my knowledge. I suppose at larger institutions they do, but I don't think there's any such thing here. On the one hand, on the other hand, everybody is sort of semi-related to each other here, and we all sort of, you know, talk to each other during and after.
Yeah, and if you need like we do have a, you know, through Decision HR, you know, like an EEP program, employer assistance program. So I mean, if somebody really need it, we can connect them to that. But yeah, you do see things, you know, just even last night, I'm a pastor, I see a whole lot of different things, but when you see certain things happen with children, you know, that really hits you a kind of different way, you know, to be honest with you. So
I think, though, by what you said, Doctor, it's not criticism. I think it would be a good time to relook at our policy where if you could offer professional counseling, and I feel like we have it hooked up to do that if we need it.
yeah, sure, we'll put that out.
Because what don't affect you could happen. Same thing.
Yeah.
And I predict this maybe somebody, maybe not you, I don't know. So I would think it would be a good time to look at the policy.
Yeah, good point.
And make sure we're aware of it in case, you know, somebody needs a little help. At least offer it.
Yeah.
You know, you could offer it.
You know, most employees have, you know, we have employee assistance program,
Yeah.
with DHR, so we can, I mean, employees know that, but we can always put that back out to the employees. And that's for anything they want.
We take it for granted. Especially nothing bothers. But I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I jumped order. I just wanted to thank you for being here last night.
You're up right now.
Okay.
Good segue.
So this time I'll tell you a story, but I promise Duffy it won't be too long-winded. But you can take this out and pass around because a lot of times people, particularly locals, but also out-of-towners, what can Weems do, what can Weems not do, et cetera, et cetera. Courtney, chime in anytime. Within the past couple of weeks, we had a particular day where simultaneously we had two very bad off burn victims from here in town that showed up. One who needed to be intubated almost immediately as he was about to lose his airway and die on the spot. Two very bad burn victims and a serious heart attack and a serious head injury, all of which were here in the ER simultaneously. And Dr. Mata, and I apologize, I forget which nurses were with him, but Dr. Mata and some great nurses. Who? Aaron and TJ. Carrie and TJ, sorry. Carrie and TJ, who are excellent. They all piled in, got everybody stabilized. They ran EMS ragged for the next 30 hours, literally, because they tried to fly the guy who was the worst off. They tried to fly him out. All the air services, including fixed wing, refused due to weather. We have nothing to do with that. It's out of our control. The closest burn center is Gainesville. That's 3.5 hours, best speed, one way, another hour turnaround, 3.5 hours back. Then, by policy, correct me if I'm wrong, that crew's out for 6 hours. So we were down to one truck servicing this entire county. Through no fault of EMS, they did a fantastic job. We ran everybody ragged, but this facility kept all those people stabilized and alive to this day. And we should all be very proud of the job they did. But you could take that story and pass it on to the community. I mean, it's not like that every day, thankfully, but I thought they did a fantastic job. And the other thing I have to throw in is my usual sense we're now in hurricane season. My position and a position of Southland is that within the constraints of county law and emergency control and everything else, we advocate keeping the ER open to the maximum extent possible.
Did a good job with that, too. I still look back when our ER got wiped out and we were up and going pretty quick. Through a bunch of consternation and arguing.
As long as it's open, we'll be here.
Okay. Anything else? Anything for Dr. Trump? Good job. Okay, Courtney, clinical services.
I don't have any updates. I'm going to pass it over to Jennifer in a minute, but I again want to thank EMS, Mr. Walker, Dr. Conrad. Terrible situations call for teamwork, and that's what we have had to do last night and a lot. And I thank James, and again, I'll thank him this morning. His crew brought that patient in, and then that patient had everything that a receiving facility would have wanted that patient to have. There was nothing that we could have done more than just picking up and carrying on. And very thankful for that. And as a team, we have the EAP, but we also, I'm texting my nurses last night after shift, and I'm texting James last night after shift. Apologized to his wife this morning. Hey, I was texting your husband late last night. But we do take care of each other, is what I'm saying, checking on each other. And texting Mr. Walker last night, who was always also there in the chapel, in the patient room, stayed for hours with us. So I just want to express that teamwork we have here, and I'm thankful for that. And now I'll bring up Jennifer.
Courtney, just a quick question. Was that a trauma or a pre-existing condition, or what did the child have?
It was a trauma.
Trauma.
And now we bring up Jennifer. Jennifer's our respiratory manager. She's been with us here for some time, Jennifer Stockwell, and she's going to tell you a little bit about a piece of equipment that we need to update. Just kind of give you some information. If you have any questions, you can ask her.
Thank you. Okay. I'm here to request to replace our old arterial blood gas machine. It's 6 years old, and it's being sunsetted by radiometer and replaced by another one. And also the old machine has Windows software XP07, so it's outdated, and it's a cybersecurity risk. And Kevin Ward is on deck to implement it with this updated machine. 2 quotes were sent to you. One from radiometer, the machine is $16,762. Worf and Jim, $15,545. Radiometer is $1,217 more in cost on the capital. Radiometer has a 1-year warranty and 3-year service agreement, and the Jim only has 1 year warranty. So I added $3,000. They quoted $1,000 per year to equal the 3 years. That's on the radiometer, so it's apples to apples. Annual cost of operations, radiometer is $14,972, and the gym is $23,182. So radiometer saves $8,200 a year less. So that's a money savings for us, and we're familiar with it. So, paper.
So you said the radiometer wouldn't take additional training or a lot?
No, it wouldn't, right.
Okay.
3 of our staff already use them at other facilities. Bay Medical uses it, Sacred Heart, and Calhoun Liberty.
Okay.
And we've had a great service and support for 13 years of radiometer, and we prefer that. And Dr. Conrad also expressed his approval of the updated radiometer machine, remember? And that's it.
Do we have a copy of the contract in our paperwork?
Yeah, it's in your paperwork. Heather sent it to you.
Where is that?
Mm. Um,
Agreed.
There you go.
Is that two or
Wondering
that's the-
what a blood gas machine is. An arterial blood gas gives you some breakdown components of the dissolved gases in blood, and it's a critical piece of data, and it's also sort of bread and butter for what we do to evaluate certain states like respiratory distress, an exacerbation of asthma or COPD, if someone is in a septic condition or diabetic ketoacidosis. Accurate blood gases are a very important part of what we do. So this is not something on the periphery. This is kind of core to our mission.
critical care.
Okay,
I guess we went to get the copy of the contract, I think. I think that's
Yeah,
what.
I'd like to look at the numbers too.
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought that was in your package. I sent them to
I'm
Heather.
sorry. Yeah, I didn't see it.
Mr. Walker, he just went and made copies, so you'll have both of them.
well, let's get that, and then maybe during break, we can review that.
So, yeah, why don't we circle back, right?
Yeah,
You want
yeah,
to circle
yeah.
back on that?
Okay.
Yeah, well,
After we
this-
take a
this
look
seems
at
to
it?
be-
I mean,
this-
I think we're going to move forward. It's just, let us take a look at it. So,
Okay,
We need to take action today, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
we will.
So, we will, okay?
all right. You'll let me know.
Okay, thank you. Suzie? Clinical report? Clinic-
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to say the clinics are doing great. We are booked a month and a half out. We do leave room for walk-ins, though, and for anybody else that we need to finagle around. But as a member or resident of Apalachicola and with an elderly mom, I want to thank Alliance for their water as well. It's a big help to our area. People don't realize how many patients are in need here that are elderly and just can't get out. So we do have a vendor that works with us, and it's going to be confirmed today. Vitas also is a hospice care service that is going to be bringing us water as well. And we're going to list our top patients that can't get out, that are homebound, and we'll have them at the clinic and notify them to come pick it up. But again, thank you. That is a big, big help to our community. We are working with the insurance companies to stay on top of them, especially United, that won't recognize our providers, even though they give me a list monthly of the people I have to work measures on. So that's an ongoing thing. So if you hear anybody has a problem with their insurance, please have them contact me and I'll work with them on that.
Good, good.
But other than that, does anyone have any questions?
yeah, I was curious, with regard to the whole water situation we're having here in Apalachicola, have you seen anyone come in with any distress from the water at all, the smell, headaches, skin
Well,
issues, anything
Yes,
happening?
we are seeing an uptick in headaches, an uptick in rashes. Can we say it specifically to the water? No, but most of them are residents. And we have staff members as well. And we're trying to mitigate the smell that's in the clinic with our toilets. We put a little Clorox in there, a little smell to keep it down and ventilate it. So. But, it's going to have to be, people have to be diligent themselves to keep a record of when these symptoms came on. Be smart about it if that's something that you want to show later on in clinical.
Yeah, I was just curious, especially with people that may be immune compromised or something like that, this water issue could present a challenge for them, right?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I live here and I'm out pretty much further out in the wooded area. And I noticed it a long, long time ago, but I thought it was just my house being older. But hopefully we'll get it soon. They've done a lot of good action and a lot of good donations, so hopefully we'll.
And just on a personal issue, thank you for getting my records. I had an issue getting my prior records from a physician up north, and Susie was able to expedite that for me, and I thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Suzie, 2 questions. Staffing,
Sure.
how are you looking at staffing?
Right now we're good, but with the growth of taking on more patients, we're still actively seeking physicians. We're talking to a couple of them.
So while Susie's up there, on my report, Susan and I and Dr. Conrad and Courtney, June 19th, we met with an allergist and a clinical immunologist specialist that wants to move here in this area, in a rural area. So we're still having some more conversation, with the specialist to see if this is a good fit for us. Of course, she's eager. She works in a rural area in Canada now, but she's eager to come and work in a rural area. So we're just still doing our due diligence on that. We still got fillers out for a physician. Some of the things that, like I said before, that's been hindering us a little because of the unstableness of the organization, where the organization will go at. But we're still putting the fillers out there for the clinic and see if we can have any bites on that.
Next question. How's your phone system working?
It's wonderful. I love it. Staff loves it. Patients don't love it because it's just a change, right? So
Well,
it's still
yeah.
the idea that if you have 10 people calling in, all 10 people want you to pick up right away. So it's still just a change for people, that's all. But it's working well. We're getting back to people efficiently. The communication between the hospital and the clinics
Saving a
saves
lot
on
of
the
time.
billing.
Save-
Yeah,
yeah,
saves time,
more efficient.
and
Okay,
I
good.
think it's nice.
Go. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that coming in.
Let's see. EMS report. Mr. Boosting.
Good morning. All right, first thing I just want to say to the hospital staff, to the nurses, everybody, thank you. Everything was flawless, I think, yesterday in that resuscitation attempt of that child. So I just want to get that out. It was awesome. Everybody did a great job. Very unfortunate situation. Unfortunately, right now, I don't have a report on the EMS transition progress. We're still waiting on the county commission to vote on it. Going into the last month's calls for May, we had 186 911 calls for service. Of those, we actually had 175 patient contacts. And of this 175, we transported 74%. The May calls, transports were increased from 93 in May of 2024 to 126 in May of 2025. And the June calls for transport as of right now have already surpassed last year's. I don't have an exact number because they're not finalized yet. Overtime is up. Due to we had 2 resignations of full-time paramedics, and I lost 1 part-time paramedic. So for the last 2 pay periods, first pay period, I was up 263 hours of overtime, and the second pay period is 288 hours of overtime.
Now that's total overtime?
That's for the 2 pay periods. So that's, yeah, those up to 263 plus 288. So
That's the monthly.
over 500 hours.
That's total.
Right.
The month.
We have built-in overtime.
Built-in. No, this is the extra. This is the
Extra.
outside of the norm.
500 hours for 2 pay periods, right?
Yep. But 24 hours adds up fast. 24 hours at a time adds up quick. So
Well, I need to get something to the county. I was reminded pretty strongly by the county commission that they didn't know about this. So
we did. Go ahead.
How do they know? You said they know?
No, I was going to keep going, but you were talking. I'm sorry.
David, I need it. We need to get something to the county commission. By the way, overtime, why it is, reasons why. So you're down basically 3 folks, 3 people.
I'm down 3 paramedics right now.
3 pair, yeah. Okay, and we're constantly advertising and doing everything we can do. Correct?
No, I just hired 1 medic that's awaiting onboarding.
Okay.
And I also promoted 1 of my medics to the open captain slot. One of the medics that left was the new captain I just hired.
Right.
He resigned and he went to Wacella. So, but they were waiting on, pretty much the county vote to see what going to happen, you know, what outfit they're going to use, and they just couldn't. They just said, I just can't wait. I can't take the chance and wait any longer.
So, quick question. How does that affect your 3 ambulances on the road at one time?
It does. Well, it doesn't right now because I'm filling it with overtime. So we're keeping them up, and we're keeping everything up and running. But
Well, the reverse of that is, well, how does it affect the wear and tear of those that are having to put in all the extra hours?
it's not too bad because I'm not allowing them to have more than 72 hours in a pay period. So
72 hours of
Yeah,
work or
yeah.
72 hours of overtime?
72 hours period. So they're regular and if they pick up an overtime shift. But their total hours I'm allowing in a week is 72 hours. So I'm not letting them burn themselves out.
So we have more staff now. Well, although we still, sorry about that. Although we're still short-staffed, you know, the overtime is being spread out between multiple staff instead of 1 or 2 or 3 staff picking up those overtime hours, right?
Yeah. And one of the medics that left was one of the ones that picked up a lot of the overtime. So unfortunately, he went to South Florida.
He came from South Florida and he went back to South Florida?
Yeah, he came up from South Florida to Florida State University, and he only intended on being here a couple of years, and then he just kind of, there he was, and he just decided it's time for him to move back home.
Well, we needed somebody, and he did it, correct?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
He
yeah,
did.
no problem.
The new heart monitors that we've got, the LifePak 35s,
Right, yeah.
They were deployed onto the units actually beginning of this month, or the beginning of this week, I'm sorry. We just put them out there, and that's after training and after, you know, getting everybody familiar with them. Even though they're still LifePaks, they had some pretty significant changes to them. A lot of it's touchscreen technology and this and that. So I have left the old monitors on the truck temporarily until everybody makes sure they're comfortable with them. That way, there's no problems.
Right.
So we are ready to take EMS to the next level, patient care. We got these new monitors. So.
Good. That's great. That's great. It's going to benefit with your life-saving functions, I guess, would be the good.
Yes. Yeah, it upgrades, and it lets us do 15 leads rather than just 12 leads, which is great because I think they said 20% of heart attacks are missed strictly by not doing an actual 15 lead on somebody. The 15 leads check the back side of the heart. So, you know, you do it on the front, you don't see it, but you do that 15 lead, it pops up and says, hey, I'm right here.
Okay, great.
Since we're here on it.
And James, you know, I want to add too that you guys, I mean, I know when you look at the runs and so forth, you guys have been, I know we were looking at that yesterday, you guys, your runs have been up year over year from a perspective when you look at the month of May alone. But just to put some context around the dollar impact, of course, we don't have June complete yet, right? June's not finished, but when you look at the salaries versus budget for the month of May, the EMS salaries exceeded the budget by $10,000 for the month of May. When you look at it for the 8 months fiscal year to date, you know, the salaries are exceeding budget by $78,000. So they are exceeding budget with that, you know, that extra overtime staffing needs and what have you. But from the standpoint of runs are up. The guys are extremely busy and doing a fantastic job. So appreciate everything they're doing. But I just want to put some dollars around or some numbers around the salary impact there. 10,000 for the month of May alone, 78,000 for the 8 months of this fiscal year to date. That's in excess of budget.
Let somebody know.
If nobody has anything else, that's all I have.
We're advertising everywhere and scrambling.
We're
It looks like to me we can anticipate vacancies just by seeing what goes on at Wakulla. They have somebody leave, then we get ready for somebody to go. I mean, That's kind of the way it looked, you know.
But I can say, I really hope they keep when they do make their decision, the council about the county commission, I hope when they make their decision that they opt to keep it the way it is right now with 3 ambulances and the QRV, because the QRV proved priceless yesterday.
You need to see
Had
it,
we
right?
not had that, Rescue 3 yesterday was the BLS truck. Just had 2 EMTs on board. And that was where that call was in their zone. Had I not had the QRV yesterday, I would have had to wait for the paramedic from Rescue 2 in East Point to get down there to get them. But being the QRV was on, the captain was on the truck, it just improved priceless.
That's like having a fire extinguisher at home. I
You-
got 2.
You got it. You might never use it, but in case you need it, it's like insurance.
How many people got fire extinguishers that know where they're at in their house? Need to do that. You have a grease fire, which could happen. You know, you can walk away.
Just throw water.
Yeah, just throw water on it, right? You have that. You got an extinguisher. You put it out and go on about your business. So that's something you need to think about, and have it where you can get to it. Don't put it, put it and open it. I know people like things not to be seen. Get it right there. Look at it.
So James, what we're going to do then, and when we get everything settled, we're going to go over to Wakala and hand out requests for employees, right?
Absolutely.
Man, they've been stealing from us for way too long. I think we need to get even.
And I just want to know, with James, he's doing a great job maneuvering, because one time he was almost fully staffed, but a couple months ago, and it went down, he's losing staff. But the overtime rate for May was $10,000 above, not humongous, but of course it was above budget. But EMS exceeded budget revenue-wise in the month of May as well. So, David Bowling was talking about it. So it's almost like a push and wash.
Yeah. Well, David, it looks like, I just did a quick assessment. It looks like if we stay on track for what we're doing thus far, we're going to pay about $180,000 to $200,000 at the end of the year over budget, right? That's what it looks like.
Well, I mean, right now, from a year-to-date perspective, it's missing budget by 150,000 for the 8 months. So if you extrapolate it over the course
Over
of the
12
next
months.
4 months. But James and David's point too. I mean, you look at total operating expenses exceeded budget by 10,000.
This month, yeah,
You look at
May.
it again. So just from the standpoint of and we'll talk about obviously talk about the financials here in a moment. But again, like I mentioned, it's operating at a loss through the 8 months. So just under 100,000. It's got a loss of 95,000 currently through the 8 months. And again, like I said, it's missing budget by 150.
Yeah, I think you're right, Duffy. We need to make BOCC completely aware of that, so that the transparency is there, and no one can criticize the board here for not enlightening them on the deficit.
But I mean, the only way
Keep reminding me of that.
the only way I see that I can minimize that more is to basically pull the captain off of the QRV and put them on and not have that QRV, which is
What would have happened if you didn't have that?
defeating the purpose.
What would have happened, I guess, yesterday or the day before, when you had all the emergencies, if you didn't have that position there?
Well,
What would have happened?
Well, just like that call last night, just with that kid. I mean, it would have delayed ALS to that patient.
Right.
So if they would have had any chance, it would have delayed that.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and the only other thing that's going to fix,
You need it. I don't know how to.
the only thing that's going to fix your situation, we get lucky and we get a couple hires on. That's,
I got
that's the
one.
other side, yeah.
Got one, so I
Yeah.
got one. Hopefully he gets his onboarding. He can come in and get his stuff done here pretty quick, and we can get him on board.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, James.
Okay.
Any more questions? Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Okay, the plant operations update. Mr. Craig Gibson, who I'm sure hadn't been doing very much in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, no. Good morning.
He's bulked up from lifting all those water crates there.
Yeah. We did get an update late yesterday afternoon, David and from the Department of Health. The water is, they want you to, of course, still boil it, but they're saying that you can use it for your formulas, you can bathe in it, everything else. So the shower trucks are going to stay here indefinitely. Your dryers, washers, they're going to stay here indefinitely until they get this situation up. But I think they've got number 7, which was the problem. I think they've got that back up and running. I know here at the hospital, we've checked toilets. They're almost perfectly clear now.
Yep.
I mean, we've been running, doing a lot of things. I mean, like everybody else in this situation. We've been getting regular bottled water deliveries here. What we've done is we put out cases of water at the nurse's station for the patients or whoever wants it. We've also put it in the ER at the floor, whoever wants that. We do have filtered water in our ice and water machines. When this started, I went straight to Culligan and talked to them about it. They said, y'all should be fine unless this bacteria stuff changes. So far, we've been fine. There's no smell. There's no taste difference in what we have. And we've only had this system for roughly 4 months.
Right.
So the filters are fairly new, about 4 months old.
There was a water truck out front. Was that
That's
part of it?
AquaPro.
Huh?
That's AquaPro.
AquaPro,
Yeah.
okay.
And what they're doing is they're taking our water from the hospital and filtering all that. It's purified water, and you can come up with your jugs, get all the water you want, come back and forth and get it. They had it at ACE, and they thought maybe they'd get more people over here.
Right.
But anyway, that's been pretty good so
Is
far.
that one of those reverse osmosis
Yes.
systems?
This is for
Reverse
the,
osmosis,
us
yeah.
and the public too, right?
Yes, for a city of Apalachicola residents.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you live in the city, you can bring your jug here, fill up, and, you know, people have been using it. We've been doing pretty good.
People are aware of it,
Oh, yeah.
correct?
Yeah, we had a line yesterday. David and I, we looked at it as we were going to that meeting. I said, uh-oh, because they were stopping behind and, you know, we had people coming in. So when we got back, we posted some signs. And they've been really good about pulling in front of the truck now, and it keeps the flow going.
Right.
Yeah. But no, it's been really good. I can pull up the cameras and watch them every now and then, make sure it's okay. Troy, my maintenance guy, has been walking out, assisting people and helping them when he can. So no, it's been going really good.
Customer service.
Yes.
Yeah, this is
That's
really
it.
customer service because really it's a partnership with the community. Kristen Willis really been behind the scene, you know, really helping with the water system.
Yes, yes.
And so she kind of like helped us coordinate it with AquaPro here. But this is a great opportunity for us to, you know, partner with our community to give back. We already mentioned when we talking about the water, you know, Alliant, you know, generous donation to the city of Apalachicola, you know, 19 cases of water. We also had Alliant Purchasing, the purchasing group, you know, contact Pepsi. Pepsi delivered 2 pallets of water for the hospital here.
I believe Lion would have done 19 pallets, right? Not 19 cases.
No, I'm sorry, 19 pallets.
Yeah,
Pallets,
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big difference.
That's about $200,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Or $100.
No, Alliant purchased, you know, over 19 cases of, 19
pallets.
pallets of water and some gallons of water as well. I don't know where I'm on the cases, y'all. Maybe I need some cases of water myself. And so it's been a team effort here, you know, with the hospital and with the community, you know, things that we're doing and with the city of Apalachicola.
It's good to see.
I want to say this too, that I think particularly everybody in the hospital could have cried, moaned, and groaned and wrung your hands and, oh my goodness, what we're going to do. Because it was a crisis. Nobody really knew to begin with. It was, you know, I mean, it was terrible, you know. And it still is, don't get me wrong. But you just jumped on it and did something. Everybody involved.
Now, I really like to see the community came together. I mean, the sheriff's department was delivering water. ACE was involved with Kristen Willis delivering water. Obviously, we were doing it. I know that down at Watercraft, Clayton was also offering people, because he has a reverse osmosis down there, to fill up water jugs. So, I don't know, I came home the other day and there was 2 cases of water on my front porch. I was like, where'd that come from? But, I mean, it's great that we're seeing.
Piggly Wiggly.
Yep.
Piggly Wiggly here.
Yep.
You know, Bob donated 19 pallets of water as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just great to see everybody coming together with that. A really good situation.
Yeah, I think they, well, for the most part, most have quit complaining and trying to, let's figure this out.
Yep.
You know, let's help. Let's don't, you know, we're not getting anywhere complaining about it. We know we got a problem. They've already admitted it. We know, if you've lived here long enough, you know we've had a water issue. If you've got the boil water notices all through the years, I mean, it's been there. They've been trying, you know, to fix it, but it's money. You know, we all know that. But I think we're on the right road now.
Well, you didn't sit around and blame and point fingers and stuff. You said, took care of it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Craig.
Yes, sir.
I've been, I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I've heard of possible reimbursements for money spent from, I mean, that could be.
That, I
have
think
we
that is
tracked
in the
that?
works. When David and I were leaving the meeting yesterday, Mayor Ash told us to get our meter counter, and then she would look at reversing the, not charging us for the water, since we're offering water for the public out here. So
Okay.
that is in the works. Yeah. Well, we've heard that a couple of times. Yeah.
Wait, give them an update on the CT project.
Okay, yeah, I got it. On the CT project, I was hoping to have some information for you today. I have not gotten it yet. I heard from Mike Cates, the electrician that's going to be doing this for us, with the engineers. They are still drawing the plans up, and once we get the plans and all the information, David and I will receive that, and then we can make a report and send that out to y'all. I was hoping to have it. Mike told me he was trying to get it to us this week, but obviously we haven't gotten it yet. But just as soon as we get that, we'll pass that on. What it amounts to is Duke Energy, according to their statutes, they cannot put another meter on the outside of this building. I've got to look the statute up, whatever it is, but Mike Cage knew about it, that they wouldn't put a meter on there. So what we've got to do, we mapped it out all through the hospital from the electrical room all the way down, coming down the hall and going into the CT room. So that's what we're waiting on now. But we had to have the engineer do it because, it's got to go before ACA.
Right.
And so it's going to get a 6-week review on that as well. So once we get all that, then we can move forward. At the same time, EEI, the construction company that's going to be doing this for us, the CT, we got a new generator. All right? They're also mapping out the electrical work that's got to be done with that. I figured while you're here, let's do all of it
Yeah,
in
good
one
idea.
umbrella, and they'll separate the price out for us, and we'll see what that's going to run us also.
Okay.
And then we'll move forward.
What is what's your planned schedule for this project to be completed? What are you thinking?
We really don't know until they
Don't
get,
know.
I mean, 6 more weeks, until they get it turned in,
Right.
and then the 6 weeks starts, for this. So as soon as we get that, and then they'll let us know when they're going to turn it in to ACA, because they'll do that. They'll follow all the way through it, and then be like the CT when we first started it.
Right.
We were, 3-4 weeks, about a month out from the first time. They
How long
reviewed
does ACA take to process that information?
Could be 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah,
They say
yeah.
6 weeks, but
Yeah,
we're
Yeah,
we're waiting on them. Yeah.
You got engineers.
And then they may have some questions,
Yeah.
so that kind of sets you back a little bit too. So yeah, we're ready. We're good. Yeah.
You're used to
Just a
dealing with
process.
stuff like this, I take
Yeah.
it.
So anyway, I'll this water thing, we're on top of it. We on hand right now. We have roughly 168 cases of water. So our staff that live in Apalachicola have got plenty of water. They've been calling me. They'll pull around. I'll put 2 cases in their vehicle for them in the afternoons. So when they run low, we've got it. We take them over to the clinic, make sure they're, taken care of also. So, yep, but we're on top of it. Kitchen, dishes, for patients being cleaned. Our machine chemically cleans the dishes, so that was covered. We have on hand 35 5-gallon bottles of water from Culligan. We have been cooking with that water. When we thaw out product to cook, it's in baggies, so we can run the water from the sink on top of that to thaw it out. So you don't use that water at all. So
Good.
we've got all that taken care of. We're covered, other than the stinky from the toilets at times, but we've got the little hangers that you clip on. They sanitize it, plus they have a smell to it. Now, granted, the water's still kind of grayish, but like I said, it's clearing up now.
Yeah, I think this morning I noticed too that with the flushing that they've been doing,
Yeah.
I think it's we didn't get the smell this morning, and it was a lot better than it had been. To tell you the truth.
And fortunately, everybody, I haven't had it at all, and I'm just right here behind the pig on 10th Street, but I have the reverse osmosis system and the whole house salt system.
Mhm.
I haven't had any of it, Now, I did have to replace my charcoal filter and taste and everything. I did have to replace those just recently, because what will happen is when, and this is your drinking water, what will happen is your spout will quit giving you water, and you know it's time to replace them, and it had slowed down significantly.
Right,
So
right.
I had them come out the other day and replace them. Yeah. But those systems do work.
Yep.
I will say
Definitely,
that.
y'all were
For
very
the people-
proactive with this.
But for the people who don't have a system, yeah, your house is sinking. You know, my house is sinking, but now it's not as bad as it is now. But they're making some progress though.
Yeah, yeah, they're running about $6,800, $7,700 to put them in. Yeah. I have gone back to housekeeping again. I lost one roughly a month ago. She retired, and my youngest one is leaving. She's got another week, and she'll be gone, and then I'll be without. I've got a PRN housekeeper that works a couple of days a month, and then I've got another part-time housekeeper that works about 24 hours a week. So Troy and I have been, tag teaming and picking up laundry and doing that so far. So I have sent out 4 applications responding to people. I've tried to call them. One of them has or 2 of them has a phone that does not take messages. The other one, the phone never picks up. So I'm still processing that. Melanie has been sending me some applications from Indeed when she gets them. I did pick up a part-time maintenance person. He's going to be coming in probably this week, maybe tomorrow, and I'll get his ID badge made up. His name is Christopher Love. He's a police officer over in Carabel. He was actually over here on Appalachia and the sheriff's department at one time. But anyway, he's coming in. He used to be the manager over the housekeeping at the Gibson, and he left there to go back in law enforcement. But so I've got somebody else that's fluent in housekeeping, so he doesn't know it yet, but probably going to tag team with that a little bit more.
Greg, does it make sense at all to outsource the housekeeping to bring in?
David and I have talked about that, but I don't know who you're going to get because
There's no cleaning companies out there. I mean, yeah,
big time.
Big
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
money there.
And you've got housekeepers that do this on the side. We got several within the hospital and the clinics. They get $100, $200 a house.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to. They're just not. Now, I told David with all the issues of the businesses not being able to stay open, maybe we might get some bites from that. So we are still advertising.
Right.
So anyway, we
All
just
right.
keep plugging along. We'll get there.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else got any questions? Thank y'all for being
All right.
proactive. Did
Thank you.
What you're supposed to do. Right. Okay. Yeah, let's take a break.
When do you want to circle back around? Yeah.
Okay.
One, two, three. Make sure you're talking to mics now. Get your mic on. Lord, you're gonna talk. Mic now. Go ahead.
All right, so we took a look at the two. You're recommending the radio meter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I see on the Werfen quote, they have on the third page, or second, third page, they have what the continuing materials required to maintain or
Right.
work the machine, whatever. Is that also on the radio meter quote?
Second page, sir.
Second page, okay. And what part of that is the,
The whole entire part.
okay, so one of the parts on here, one of the continuing uses is 10,400. The second line,
Okay, that is 13 sensor cassettes. Where
Okay.
we use one every month, and they're $800 each.
okay.
So for a year, which it will be 13, that's how much that costs.
All right, so really we're talking about a cost of 16,762.37 for the actual machine, and another 14,005. My eyes are a little bit 66.45. So I don't see the total being 14. I mean, if you're looking at the total of 16 plus 14, right?
Well, the way I broke it up was for the capital and the machine. We're just talking about the first stage.
Right.
Radiometer is 16,762, and the warp and gem is 15,545. That means the capital is 1,217 more in machine costs with radiometer. And I switched over to the service because radiometer has a 1-year warranty and 3 years of service. Gem only gives you 1-year warranty, but they quoted an estimation of 1,000 per year. So I added 3,000, one for each year, so they would equal warranty and service. And then the annual cost of the consumables, that's what we change out monthly.
Right.
Radiometer is $14,972 a year, and the gem is $23,182 a year.
Right. Right.
You're gonna have that cost every single year, because you have to.
Right, that's the cost of the operation,
So
that's
the
operating cost.
yearly cost we'll have to run the machine.
Right. So really we're talking about on the one side here with the Werfen, we're talking about 23,182.87, which with the consumables, and with the consumables on the radio meter, we're talking about 31,735.23
$14,972.
on top of the 14,000, on top of the 16,762 for the
Right,
cost of
for
machine.
That's for your first year, because the
Right.
machine will be separate.
Right.
And then you'll have to pay
Yeah,
the
so I mean,
annual
but
cost
adding
of
those-
operation.
But adding those two together, we're about almost $32,000.
Okay,
Right?
all right,
Correct? I'm just trying to read it right.
okay,
What do we pay now for consumables? Like that's a cost we're already paying, right?
right. It's lower, of course, because the machine is older and they cost less.
But the consumables are not anything you can get around.
No, you have to use their product.
It's like you have a copy machine, you got to pay for paper. I get it.
Yeah, so it's a cost we already have.
Yeah. Okay.
And don't pay for no paper, I don't know how you're gonna use it, but, yeah, so you use these machines, they do have, supplies that you have to buy.
Sure.
With them as well.
Specific,
Specifically.
machine specific.
And this is just something that really we're updating our equipment. And then if we ever get a new facility, whatever, this equipment still can be used for that. And to be honest with you, this is something that we probably should have looked at upgrading for a moment here. And so this is something that we definitely need. And of course, Kristen texted me too. She's watching the meeting and she really supported this particular purchase as well. Saying that we really need it for our ED patients and stuff like that. So this just brings us into a higher level of care with new equipment here.
Yeah, and Bill, what I was going to add there was the consumables. When you look at the Werfen, it's 23,000. It's 23,000 on the annual commitment there, and I think on the radio meter, it's sitting at, what, 14.9?
14. Right. So if you look at just consumable price against each other,
The radio meter's less.
less anyway.
And as Courtney pointed out, we're
already
we're
paying.
spending that money today.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's already taken place. You're already consuming, you're already providing that today. This is just really, more or less, I'd look at it more just an equipment
Update.
update here in this situation.
And you guys are much more familiar with the radio meter, so that's,
We
the
are.
learning curve is not going to be so great with that machine. So it's going to be
Exactly.
something you're going to be able to hit the ground running with.
We
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
and also 3 of our PRN workers, they already use it at other facilities. So
Right.
they're familiar with it too, so
Great.
it'd be good for everyone.
So, before you vote, will it be better for us as we look at buying this equipment, just to look at it, just doing the equipment purchase, because we're already buying the supplies anyway.
Mhm.
So should we, because we're gonna pay for this out of the capital outlay fund, so should we just put it as the equipment purchase and remove the supplies, because we're already buying the supplies anyway for this particular machine? It's a pleasure of the board, how you want us to go with it.
Yeah, well, you're not going to buy all these, I assume you're not buying a year's worth of supplies in advance, that you'll be buying them over a period of time, correct?
Right.
So yes, I agree.
It'll be a standing order where they deliver them monthly.
Yeah, right.
You know, that would be an expense, not a capital outlay.
That would be an operating expense, I
Operating
think.
expense.
I think so.
I think that goes as operating expense.
Yeah.
David? Okay, it is, okay.
Yeah.
But supplies we need to consider.
Mr. John,
I
you
got
got something to
questions.
say, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hear you. I have a couple questions.
Uh-oh.
One, what do we do with our old equipment? Does it get traded in?
It is traded in under the radiometer. They give a trade-in discount. Other
Is
than
that 4,000?
Right. Other than that, we wouldn't get anything for it.
Okay, so they're going to give us 4,000 off.
Right.
The next question, is there a leasing program on these? Because it appears, like Angel, that the radio meter, I guess that's how you pronounce it, has already got a built-in obsolescence of 5 years. They want a 5-year commitment, which tells me that's a,
Standing order.
yeah, that tells me that at the end of 5 years, they're going to come back and look at your pocketbook and say, you need another piece of equipment.
Good. Yeah.
Okay? So, did you look at leasing?
I did, but I talked to Mr. Walker, and we were really looking at a purchase versus leasing. But I can get updated leases for both of these, because when I first started looking at this many months ago, 8 months ago, whatever it was, I got both of them. But I was told to stick with the purchase. But I can certainly get the lease.
Yeah, we can look at the lease. And the only reason why, usually they offer leasing, when the organization cannot purchase one. And the leasing amount would have been maybe, it could have been a little bit more
Possibly.
at the end of that lease for the purchase of the machine.
Obviously, you ended up paying more,
Yeah.
from all I can remember.
Yeah.
because they give me that option.
Yeah. And normally they
You
do.
pay more on the option to lease,
Right.
Yeah.
but then you also have the option of getting out of it when something else comes in that's better.
But how long have we had the current one? Do you
6.
have any idea?
6 years. Since 2019.
Being honest, we're probably gonna keep this one at least 5 years.
Right.
We don't get anything to put current, your new equipment, it's costly, and it won't, so.
Is this outdated? Does it not work? The old,
It's outdated.
our equipment?
It's outdated. It's embedded with that Windows XP 7.
I hate it.
And so we've got it disconnected. It's not connected to any health records, to everything, doing every manual punching in, right,
It's
So,
not too concerned.
I mean, it still works.
You're tired of seeing the message you need to upgrade.
Yeah, right. And Kevin Ward, he wants it out of there because of that reason.
Okay, do I have a motion for anything?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we move forward with the radio meter that we purchase it at the purchase price, and that we worry about the disposables or whatever that go on. That's going to be outside of the purchase, and that will be regular out of operating income on a monthly basis. So I move that we move forward with this radio meter
Second.
purchase.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, now, any more discussion?
Capital outlay. You're right.
A pitch to the county commission.
Okay, any further discussion?
Since
think
it's under
you just need
50,000,
to-
do we have to go to the county commission for this?
Yeah, it's under, but it's capital outlay.
Okay, so,
Yeah, so that
Well-
means, if we want to use that money,
mhm,
we have to go to them to use the money.
got it.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's buy that thing, get it going, okay?
But I think you need to, as a comment, I think you need to explain more what this product does. You know,
Yes, sir.
Have you explained to them what the product does for us?
It's
Dr.
an
Conrad did
arterial
that.
blood gas machine, and it analyzes arterial blood, which is oxygenated blood, and it's used to get a person's pH balance, whether they're acidotic or alkaline. It checks their CO2 and their PO2, their oxygen level, to see if they have good gas exchange, or if they need to be intubated, or if they're hypokalemic from diabetes. They also shows that in their bicarb, and it's used for critical care, acute care.
so what does it have to do with heart attacks or strokes?
Well, in a heart attack, you might not be oxygenating well because your heart's not getting the oxygen that it needs to that part, and they might want to put you on the ventilator to stabilize you, to fly you to a heart center. So, we look at it from all angles. There'll be EKGs done, ABGs done, X-rays, CAT scan, whatever the case may be. But it's just another tool to diagnose someone's function of ventilating. And if they're not ventilating good enough, tube them and you put them on a vent and you try to find them a bed. And that's basically what we use.
Another side question is, how quickly can you get the results?
Very quick. I mean, aside from, if it takes 10 minutes to draw it, you walk to the lab, you run it, it's ready in under 2 minutes.
Good.
It's quick, it's fast, and then we just run back to the doctor and give him the printout, and we go back to the computer later and type it in. So it's a very fast turnaround because you have to be fast.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Good presentation. Okay, next item, CFO report. David Coley.
All right, I'm going to present the financial statements and the financial summary for the month of month of May of 2025, and I'm speaking about the 8 months fiscal year-to-date performance as well through May 31st of 2025. When you look at the organization as a whole for that 8-month fiscal year-to-date period, the consolidated net income finished at a positive approximately $311,000 as compared to a budgeted loss of $133,000. So diving into some key drivers that for the month of May's performance alone, when you look at gross patient revenues, or that's, again, services that's been generated within the hospital, we did finish just over $42,000 or 3% versus the same period in the prior year. Inpatient revenues, breaking that down, breaking down the gross patient revenue when it gets patients service specific areas. When you look at inpatient revenues, they were up 112,000 with total patient days up 18 or approximately 46%. And again, I'm looking at this compared to the May of 2024. Swing beds represented the majority of the increase this month versus budget and versus our prior year. Outpatient revenues, though, were down approximately 125,000, and as I mentioned in previous months or previous presentations, reported inside of outpatient revenues on the financial statements does include ER activity. And our ER revenues were down about 104,000, with our ER visits down about 39 or 8%. When I'm saying down, again, I'm referencing this same period last year. And we're looking into the reasons and diving deeper into the reasons behind the ER activity. And I know Mr. Berry even pointed out earlier, when you look at the graphs, you can see within the outpatient activity, again, ER is reported inside of that. When you see the line graph, you can see our trend is moving downward in our ER activity. Now, one of the things, though, we have reviewed is the acuity level within the ER. And again, acuity level based on 1 through 5 on a level with a higher level or higher acuity receiving the higher level. We have seen a drop off or decline in our level 5, which is our highest level or highest acute activity with our ER when we compare that versus the prior year at about a 25% actual decline. So that is a large contributor to this overall ER activity. I'm working with James in the EMS and diving into the 911 transports to see where and what and what's happening there. But again, we're trying to get a better understanding of the declines in ER activity here in the community. I know Courtney and David and team are diving into it as well. We've seen lesser activity from a tourism standpoint and so forth recently from the water situation. I know David has some comments to add.
Yeah, let me just add about that. I've spoken with the CDC president, and he told me that tourism been up since April, May, until a week ago, 2 weeks ago, until the news article came out in Panama City, about the water. But he said that they were hitting their marks here, and so they just really now seeing the tourism begin to go down. So we may see that in the next couple of months, how we're looking. But he will have some help from Visit Florida to try to tackle this situation.
And when I look at the hospital's average daily census, including observation patients, so it's inpatient swing and observations, we're at approximately 2.2 patients in-house on average per day, which again, that's up versus the 1.7 in the prior year. So inpatient-related activity or patients in beds, that has increased year over year on an average daily basis, which again is encouraging to see. The rural health clinics, and as Susie spoke earlier, have been very steady when compared to run rates and do continue to outperform the prior year activity, which is, again, encouraging to see the growth within our clinics, within our primary care base. I know that I'll talk in a minute about some projects that we're diving into related to the clinics.
David, just on that note, we did see the uptick in outpatient visits and the downtick in emergency room. Could we be seeing more people not rushing right to the emergency room, maybe using outpatient services greater, or do you think it's just a separate issue?
I think it's probably separate, Mr. Disher, and the reason I say that, and that's why we dove into the leveling. When you look at the acuity levels, level 1 through 5, again, the higher acute is what we're seeing not. So if I look at the change in the lesser acute, which would be those that may be able to be treated in a clinic setting, for example, we're not seeing that much change in that level of care related to what's coming inside the ER. So that level of care is staying consistent within the ER, so we're not seeing that as part of that.
They're not. So you're saying they're not connected? One going up, one going down?
I don't believe
so.
in this situation.
I bet it goes up next month. When I look at your financials next month, I bet it's up.
ER or outpatient?
Your ER.
ER.
Yeah. Which then generates the other side, right?
Yep. So the other comment I'll make, and this, I know we mentioned this earlier too, but I want to keep referencing this. When you look at EMS revenues were up 60,000. Again, talking May compared to May of last year, up 60,000 runs were up 33 versus the same period as well. So the EMS was busier. They did experience and had increased salaries and wages, as James alluded to earlier, with the staffing issues and the overtime needs. They had to incur $10,000 in excess of budget for the month of May alone. And again, from a year-to-date, 8-month year-to-date perspective, about $78,000 over budget within the wages within the EMS. So continue to have challenges there within the staffing situation that they're experiencing. I know James and his team are certainly trying to address every angle they can.
But did I notice on the graph that you looked so much, it looked like billable runs were down for EMS. Is that correct?
Billable runs are up when you look at year-over-year basis from a year-to-date standpoint.
I thought I saw it down.
Yeah, from
Now I
a
gotta find it.
year-to-date
Get back to
standpoint,
it.
yeah, look at it straight.
There's too many graphs.
When you look at billable runs, when you look at the same period from the year-to-date of 2025, billable runs are around 812 billable runs. This same 8-month period last year, billable runs were around 793, so slightly up versus the same periods when you measure year over year.
And the graphs are colors.
So looking at net patient revenue for the hospital, again, talked about volumes, talked about revenue. Again, that's what we expect to receive for the services that's being provided. Net patient revenue did finish down approximately 251,000 or 25%. But again, a lot of that is contributable to, as I mentioned earlier, within an outpatient-related areas, seeing that down at such a dive within the ER. And again, that correlates, as I stated earlier, too, to that higher acute, which typically is a higher reimbursed area. When you do look at, though, overall, from a yield perspective, what we do collect or should receive on the charges that's being generated, we did finish May at 50%, or 50, which is a PCR that's, again, is a positive PCR or payment to charge ratio that we have seen across other like-kind hospitals. Looking at total hospital operating expenses, I'm kind of moving down through the financial statement, but look at total hospital operating expenses are down 26,000 or roughly 2% versus the same period in the prior year. Personnel costs, which when I state personnel, I'm talking about salaries, wages, benefits, as well as any type of premium labor that's being expensed or utilized here within the hospital, was up a combined 31,000. But the hospital does obviously continue to review ways to reduce that premium labor. A lot of that premium labor, when I say, again, when I'm talking hospital, I'm talking consolidated. So it does include EMS. So when you do see those increases in personnel, a lot of that, as we just have talked about, does relate to the EMS and the overtime that's being experienced there. Purchase services are down approximately 34,000. Supply costs down as well, 30,000, and continuing to be managed. Supplies. I know we had a sidebar conversation about this earlier. When you look at supplies, it does include our pharmaceuticals and so forth. When I'm talking category in general, it's being managed at approximately 10% of the net patient revenue, which again is performing at industry standards when you look at, again, like-kind hospitals of this size. Just some brief notes I want to mention on the balance sheet and cash flow related activity for the hospital. When you look at, again, the overall cash position, we do continue to be in a positive position here at the hospital. The hospital days cash on hand finish at approximately 69 days cash on hand. Again, patient AR, obviously is, to focus, but we have seen some improvement more recently during May. And I know that Heather and the team here at Weems, I know, working very diligently with TrueBridge and all the others that are involved to continue to improve, patient accounts receivables. The hospital does have a very manageable process with accounts payables. We have no vendors at risk that we're aware of, or no relationships at risk from any outstanding invoicing or any outstanding payments due. And one of the things that I always want to bring clarity around inside the financial statement, when you look at the AP category or accounts payable category on the financial, again, this is just the way it's collapsed under the financial statement. When you look at those general ledger accounts that's inside of there, you see a big number, but again, the deferred revenue activity related to the previously recorded hospital grant receivables, approximately $564,000. That money is recorded in there. Again, it's the deferred monies that will be released out of deferred once the capital improvement project is complete or as it's being completed. And along with that, recall we do have the dish slip, fiscal year 23 dish slip payback in there around $1.2 million combined when you look at dish and lip together. So those two numbers, they do, are stated under that accounts payable category, but again, that is not that's not payables that are ordinary in our normal day-to-day course of business. And then, of course, capital-related spend, it's at a minimal, and certainly for only mission critical needs, as we just with the radiometer, we just talked about that.
Explain that a little more to me. If we have a grant, $100,000. So when even before we receive the grant, we receive the grant, then that's going to turn into payable until we get the money, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
You got
So
criteria.
that would skew our payables a little bit.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to break it down for me a little bit. Okay?
No, that's well said. I mean, you get a grant. The grant, lack of a better way of saying, they have strings attached to them that you got to utilize the grant for those specific requests. And that money does sit in what is on an accounting and balance sheet perspective does sit as a liability, because ultimately, if you didn't use the money for that particular project, you would have to pay that money back. But once you utilize and complete that project, then you can release that money against it. Pay that money against the expenditure and capital.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Very good question. And then again, no long-term debt commitments entered into year May of 2025, and so nothing to really note or speak about there. A couple other things I do want to mention briefly too is, and I talked about this a few minutes ago when we mentioned about the rural health clinics, and we're working with Susie and team, and we had a really good call with our physician services partner that helps support us, and I say from a line perspective, helps support the other line base facilities. And we have, we're going to do a deep dive, and I've mentioned this to the county commissioners when we spoke at the county about the rural health clinics, and we're diving into looking at and David's passing around actually some assessments and deliverables that we're going to bring as we do dive into both clinics. And again, I won't. Yes, sir. And I'm not going to read bullet here. Again, this is material, and the reason why we wanted to put this in front of you is to show that we are diving into looking at the rural health clinic opportunities. We're going to establish KPIs, dashboards, and so forth. And again, obviously step into the productivity and the compensation structure. And again, this helps strengthen the operations of both clinics, and certainly help us be able to explore where do we have areas to improve, hopefully expand, and provide potentially more services here. And again, this is a dive into a lot of different areas within the clinics, but again, the end goal is you see the deliverables, and what I plan to do, or David plans to do as we move forward and complete a lot of these tasks, we will share those deliverables and results with the board and the county as requested as well. But I did want to take a minute just to share those and share what we're working on there for the clinics. Again, the clinic financials are broken out separately now. The EMS is broken out separately now. So we're working on continuing to bring more transparency with the data, transparency with the numbers, and not just transparency for those areas, also spilling down into the department level as well, and providing department leaders with their very own department financials as well. So we're getting as granular and transparent as we possibly can to ensure that everybody's moving towards the same direction here at the hospital. And then, lastly, I do want to.
What's your timeline on this? what'll be the timeline on this? I mean, are you just going, as we work on it, we're going to discuss it with the board, or
Yeah,
do you
I mean,
have a timeline for the whole
yeah.
thing, or what?
Well, obviously, the duration of this, it's going to be an ongoing. Ongoing. But what we will do as we have, these deliverables, for example, policies and procedures, we're going to review those and ensure, those are where they, are compliant, obviously, but also, are there best practices that need to be implemented and so forth. If there's adjustments or updates that need to be made there, that'll be brought forward. Absolutely. And one of the key things too, I think, is going to be very important too, as we move into, we're already 8 months into this fiscal year. The 9th month now is we're working today, but soon to be budget processing and so forth. We are evaluating and looking at suggestions for the RHC growth, service line growth, and what other needs that they can be provided, particularly in the Carabel area as well. What can be and what we can be expanded there to provide more service. I know Susie has a lot of great ideas and so forth that she's brought forward as well. So we're going to dive into ways that we can provide more services.
She would know about service line here. People ask for it.
Yeah, and the thing of it also, is a review, in the clinic area, we begin to look at, for example, the Carabel clinic. We got to begin to offer some extended service hours in that clinic as well. That's what the voters voted on. So, but we also look at RHC. It should be RHC or a different clinic model. Just look at the reimbursement model there, and then add whatever different type of service lines we can begin to add, especially in that Carabel area, because they don't have anything else.
Right. And this will help us flush some of that information out, and we'll be able to bring that forward on the board as well.
And provide a compensation. We have to look at also, are we paying our providers, what they need to be paid? We may be below. So these are some things that we're looking at.
Yeah, I think, and David, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I think it'll be very important to ensure that you want to ensure the alignment and so forth of your providers is within the market as well.
David, a quick question on your income statement. The 717, that's a deduct from the revenue, what makes up that number?
I went to John for a second, sorry.
The reason I'm asking is because I'm looking at last year's was 423,000. This year's is 717,000. It's a 300,000, basically $300,000 difference from last year to this year. It's the deduct from revenue.
Deductions from revenue, again, what's categorized under there, you have your
Can you speak up a little bit? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. The deductions from revenue, what's categorized within deductions from revenue is contractual related adjustment or contractual adjustments and allowances related to the payer relationships that we have. Also included, you do have a bad debt component, allowance for bad debt accounts that's included in that area. When I look at, some of the comparability between year over year, I think, you do see, adjustments and allowances throughout the, let me state it another way. Adjustments is the actual activity that comes in related to that payer relationship that is recorded that month. Allowances are in that number as well, and that's what we're allowing as a contractual or a future contractual or activity setting on as a receivable, a patient AR receivable on the balance sheet. So that change year over year, John, I don't have a specific in front of me to say is it related with the allowances or the actual adjustment change there. I'll certainly follow up, but as I mentioned earlier, we look at the overall net revenue to patient chargeable revenue. We're sitting at 50%, which is a relatively healthy when you look at like-kind hospitals as far as the payment to charge type ratio. Year over year, I'm not seeing as much change there. I've actually seen a change in a little bit better direction there to overall year to date. So I guess to be more specific to your question, I don't know the specific activity for the month of May that may have driven that one up higher than what it was in the previous month.
Are accounting adjustments causing this to be, are estimates causing this to be such a big swing? Are you following me?
You say counting, you referencing?
I mean, our estimates on expenditures and that. Are we hitting the targets as what we budgeted, as opposed to, okay, is this throwing, we've overstated this, therefore it's now understated over here, and that's causing the variances?
I mean, I wouldn't say you're referencing just revenue deductions again. It's not going to be, you know, the methodology that the hospital uses, again, and I know this is obviously goes through the audit process every year, and I think the auditors have recognized the methodology that is utilized here to reserve and or contractualize those allowances is a industry best practice methodology. They're doing an actual look back. So I guess if I'm understanding your question, I don't think you will see that ebb and flow to some extent based on volumes, based on turn in AR and things of that nature. But I can't say from a budgetary standpoint that
Estimations.
Yeah.
Let me use the term estimation. Are there estimated numbers in that loss?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and so those estimated numbers can be off.
I mean, the methodology behind it.
How tight are they?
Yeah.
In other words, do I need to look at this piece of paper and say, well, I really don't know what ballooning it or contracting it?
Well, I can say from confidence that the again, the methodology behind the estimates is sound, and it's been audited previously, and I don't think the auditors have ever issued any notification or adjustment that the methodology needs to be changed. So what I would say to that is that the estimates are using what I would state as a very good methodology, meaning that I don't think there's any issues with the methodology they're utilizing on their estimates. Set that way. Is that? I mean, it is an estimate. I mean, it's a great question that he brought up. When you look at net patient revenue, that's why I referenced that. That is what we would expect to receive, and expect means that inside of what we expect are estimates, but the estimates are using a audited industry methodology to determine that.
I assume it would be a conservative estimate. Obviously, if we collected more than anticipated, that would be a positive. And if we could collect 100% of what we did, we'd be out of our debt. We'd be making money if we collected 100% of our revenue.
It's an industry methodology.
Right, but it's such a big swing, 300,000, what caused it?
Yeah.
Is there one factor or is there multiple factors?
I guess you'd have to dig into the calculation of that.
I can let you know if and it could be the anomaly of a last year of an activity that happened in May of 24 last year. I mean, there's moving factors there. What I'll do,
I would assume some economy factors. Do they anticipate the economy as well, or just a benchmarked figures from other organizations from last year to this year? I mean,
again, in what Mr. Berry's referencing is inside the revenue deductions. Again, that's payer related, right? Payer related based on the services that's being provided. So I mean, again, there's a lot of moving pieces. I mean, it's service mix, it's acuity levels, those types of things do change. But what I will do, Mr. Berry, is follow up as far as was there an anomaly in May of 24? Should May of 24 been higher that particular month of May, or that particular month versus, or was there something that was reported in that month that brought it down?
And I don't mind going digging it out, but I just don't know where to go dig it out.
Yeah, I can walk you through. I can be glad to walk you through the areas and steps that's inside there and provide further commentary around that.
Just find out.
Yeah.
No,
And lastly, I do want to mention too, and I'll say this last month at the board as well. We are working on those ops excellence activities. We are looking at the Baker Tilly. Again, I want to, always provide some updates there. We do have, and we did respond previously with Baker Tilly when they were here working from the hospital. That there are a lot of things that management currently is working on. They had outlined, just to keep it brief for the meeting today, I do want to say, and I mentioned this a few minutes ago too, that the finance team, because one of the recommendations was to develop departmental operations reports and so forth. Those reports have been and are being developed. We are utilizing we previously reviewed multi-view financial software. We had the presentation. That's it. Again, an ERP software. We didn't move forward with that yet, but we did go ahead and start working internally to develop, the departmental reports utilizing the EHR system here. And again, it's a manual method, but we wanted to make sure that while we're waiting to see what we do with technology, we wanted to go ahead and get some information out to the department leaders, and that way, again, promoting the transparency of the numbers. That process is underway. Labor productivity, that's another area that, as far as monitoring and looking at the productivity of all those departments within the hospital, and again, monitoring overtime. We are in the process of implementing a labor productivity tool, which again will help ensure that the departments are meeting industry best practice and standards there. And that tool is being worked on and being developed. That education will be provided here
on the 17th. So, July 17th, we'll have an education for the management staff on that labor productivity tool.
And then, of course, we're, and I know I mentioned this previous as well, we're working with a third party to look at, and again, this is to implement consistent point of service patient cash collection, so getting money up front from the patients. We are working, and we do have a third party that we work with that allows patients access to interest-free funding to support payment arrangements. That's something we could utilize potentially here to help. And again, for those patients that have high out-of-pocket needs or what have you, so they can have services performed, we can, and we do have a third party that can establish interest-free payment plans for these patients. So we're looking at, again, ways to kind of improve how do we collect more monies up front from the patient. We are working with, from a Medicaid eligibility standpoint, of getting patients converted over to Medicaid and or some form of insurance or some form of coverage. We are working with an established third party, again, that we know across the North Florida area, throughout North Florida. They actually support many hospitals throughout North Florida that assist with helping identify eligibility for patients to help them get rostered under Medicaid or some form of insurance as well. Again, that will improve cash collection performance there. And then lastly, I want to mention, from a third-party payer contracts, right? So our insurance-based, commercial-based contracts and so forth, we have been able to develop a payer matrix, lack of better terms, and then what the matrix identifies, again, is those commercial-based payers or top 5-6 payers. It tables out the terms of those agreements and so forth, and allows us to be able to look inside and say, are we getting paid below or at market levels, or allows us the visibility to be able to say, where do we really need to go renegotiate and look for other opportunities. So we are going to take that very next step to renegotiate. We're looking at a couple of our top payer contracts currently. I know that agreement engagement to dive deeper into that is at the county currently, or with Attorney Schuler, as we're working through the language on that as well. And that's all I got, unless there's any other questions.
Service line. Need to always, you got what you call 10 or 11 hospitals, and see something that we can implement here.
Yeah, and I think David
David's
I
gonna
just
talk
said I
about
just
that?
stepped out. I think he has on his report. report, and I don't want to speak in front of him, but
Okay, that's
you know, I
fine.
know like pulmonary rehab, that is something that recently we've been in discussions with. I know that I think he's going to provide an update on that, but you know, to your question there, Chairman, I know we have, and this is something I do want to bring back to the board as well. It is, we have the capability of looking at claims data,
What?
with patient claim data, claims, like, so patients are having services that are not coming here, or it's not provided here, right? They're having services outside, they're leaving
Sure,
the community.
that'd be great.
Identifying those, where do we see that can potentially, that we can potentially provide the service here to hopefully redirect and provide that for the community. So we are diving into that as well, and I know David will give an update here in a minute on one service line that we have looked at previously. Questions?
Questions, y'all? Anybody got any questions?
Barry, I will follow up with Revenue Director.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Walker.
There's an item on David's report, the Finance Committee. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Either way.
explain the situation we have with our invoices. And we won't have to, I guess we call it a breach or something.
No.
Security. Is that what you were talking about?
No, okay, so it's the county clerk of courts, would like for us to implement a system where we review the checks and invoices, and I sign off on it by the board, finance committee chairman, and the CEO. Then we send that to the finance department at the county, and they review it, to make sure we sign off on it. And this is one of the things that came about with one of the audits that they had as well. And so,
For annual audit or the Baker Tilly or which one?
No, the county.
County.
The county clerk of courts. The clerk of courts is the comptroller for the county.
Okay, what we've historically done is we cover our finances so well that we haven't had the whole board has been financed.
Right.
So we're going to have to have a finance committee.
Subcommittee.
Committee.
Yeah, and so the board bylaws, we have a finance committee. The whole board been serving as a finance committee because we hadn't broken off yet. But being that we write checks, and Heather, you can come up as well, being that we write checks on a consistent basis, and so we will have 2 meetings per month, a subcommittee to review the invoices and the checks that we're writing to send to the county. And once we review that, the hospital board finance committee chairman and the CEO will sign off on it. And then we have a AP policy, AP payable, accounts payable policy process that we will send to the county also so they can review that. And that process is in I think we put it in your books for you to, we set it to the side for you to review. That process would also be reviewed by Attorney Schuler to make sure everything is good in that. And so we'll send that policy to the county as well. So they'll know that we're following the different steps. So when they get the invoices, not invoices, but the checks that we want to pay, they'll know that, eyes have been on it, basically. So it's almost like a double review.
And and I'd like to discuss this with the board too. The best way I can handle this situation is our finance committee have 3 people. Chair, and they meet every 2 weeks. You got to meet. We pay our bills every 2 weeks, correct? So it would be a little cumbersome.
Every 2 weeks when? What Fridays or?
No, it is best for us if we pay as close to the 1st and the 15th.
Do what now?
Closest to the 1st and the
The
15th.
1st and the 15th.
Okay, the
It
1st
doesn't
and
have to be
15th.
that exact date, but it's best if it's
Right.
close to it.
Closest to.
Now, what I thought I would suggest, now this is, we gotta figure something out here, is that all the other board members, including myself, I guess, would be alternates to this committee. Okay? So, if somebody couldn't attend, 'cause that's gonna be cumbersome, you're talking about the 1st, the 15th, in case something happens, we gotta pay the bill, so we have to do this.
So how much time would be required with that process?
Well, the process, the way it is, this past month, we've done everything but the finance committee because it was not yet established. So that runs us 2 or 3 days. It runs us 2 or 3 days within the AP department to get this completed, going to the county, all that. So it would probably be a 4-day, 1 day for you guys.
No, what I was trying to say is how.
Hour,
Right,
2 hours?
Yeah. How long would you need somebody there to sign all these checks? Or
Oh,
whatever?
I actually take it to the county, to Danny Gay at the county, and I leave it, and he calls me when it's
But-
done.
but you need our.
You need your review, and so you said how long will it take in the meetings for review?
Right.
Maybe, I think 30 minutes, an hour, at the most.
Heather, what we're talking about is, we have our meeting, and I guess you or David, somebody would be there. Would it take 30 minutes, an hour? Or take
It would
roughly-
honestly depend on your discussion,
Yeah.
Yes.
I think what you'll see, obviously, you're going to see those recurring activity, as Heather just mentioned. There's about, maybe I don't want to speak, it's about 50 or so approval on each run. So you're talking maybe 100 or so per month, so 50 each.
So 50.
To kind of look through and okay, this is vendor A, this is vendor B, this is C, D, what have you. You'll have a check register or check run that identifies, who they're paying. And then, again, some of that will be as you move forward, as Heather said, you'll get to, contractually that this is, again, company A, contractually this is what we pay company A on a monthly basis, and then you'll have that, there's an example.
This is what we would go every 2 weeks,
Yeah,
right?
and so this is just an example of what, we've done so far with the checks and invoices that come through here. And many times, before that even come on that form, I sign kind of like individually, pretty much, all those, approvals. Approve the invoices.
Well, there's a lot here.
And so the county just want to make sure
So the chair would have to sign that many invoices?
no.
They would just approve,
They would sign off on here, authorized, or,
Yeah.
so that, I see you're on here, so you just make another line for
Chair.
finance committee chair and
Mhm.
whatever, and they would sign off.
Yeah.
Well, certainly I could help you out. My proximity to the hospital makes it much easier for me than somebody like John to get over here on a every week basis or every twice a month basis. But I could certainly be involved in that in some capacity if you want to.
You are.
Can it be done by Zoom?
John, would
I
you-
think.
would anybody, any other board members?
Huh?
Okay, we got.
I can't hear you.
Various questions what's going to be done.
Yeah, the only thing, I can talk with Attorney Schuler, because I think our bylaws saying that you can't vote by Zoom, but you can attend a meeting by Zoom. But let me talk with Attorney Schuler.
You can't do what now?
You cannot vote by
If you're a board member and you're on Zoom, your vote don't count.
Yeah, your vote don't count. I mean, that's currently in the bylaws now. Now, remember, we wrote those bylaws, although we did another.
I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
Well, can we get an auto pen for John?
Yeah.
Oh, auto pen.
Auto pen.
And so I say, and so let me talk with Attorney Schuler and see if we can add, that part, especially for the finance committee, because if we meet twice a month, some members may not be able to come here if you leave away. That can they attend that meeting via Zoom as well?
Also,
And vote.
I'd like to talk to him too about our plan about if the other board members could be alternate
Oh, yeah, you can be alternate, because we can be, okay, the finance committee, before we had the finance committee, anybody can come to the finance committee. You had to have a finance chair, technically. And the CFO, it was like a CFO-driven committee. But any board member was a part of that committee if they wanted to come, per se. So, now we can designate who the chair is, and then who want to volunteer to be part of it, but any board member can
I
come.
would think we need, our finance committee don't need two people.
Okay, well, anybody can be, well, it's up to the board.
And could either of those two members of that subcommittee sign off on the
Exactly.
documents?
Yeah, I think we got.
Or just the chair?
I think we have just the chair, but we probably can add,
Well, if somebody's not.
Well, you gotta have an alternate, because if the chair is not here, or away, or not in the area, you gotta have somebody else.
yeah, and what we can do, we can put in the policy then, the process
Let me tell you what.
that the alternate chair, the
Let me tell you
alternate
what. The
finance committee chairman would sign.
Clerk of the court wants somebody's signature on it. What we need, that's it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so what we can do, we can put on the process, the CEO signature, the finance committee chair signature, and our alternate finance committee member.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yep.
We can add that. Yeah.
Just so we cover our bases
Yeah.
and don't have any issues where
Yeah.
the money's not getting
Gotta
put
pay
through,
the bill.
right? Gotta pay the bill.
Gotta pay the bill, I guess if need a ride, I can sit on that committee. But let's get the committee down to two people, that's all you need. I mean,
But when it gets to the finance committee, it should already be, the packet should be complete,
right,
okay?
yeah.
And there should be no questions that the finance committee would ask unless there's something missing. So
That's it, right.
it's basically a rubber stamp of what their work is, so that the people that are putting it through the payables over there, I guess it's the clerk's office, I'm not sure, but Donnie Gay and that group have some assurance that the bill has been looked at, it's legitimate, and it's authorized, they're authorized to pay it.
Right.
They don't want to get into a situation where, darn, that check looks like, that bill looks like something else I had over here, and it's just got a different name,
Take any trips to Hawaii, we're gonna catch it, okay? If anybody
Yeah,
trips to Hawaii.
and the county's had that problem, so that's why they're doing this, I would think.
Okay.
But I also want to bring up something that I went back to the bylaws. Now, what the bylaws say are that the hospital board retains the sole discretion to make final decisions on all matters affecting the hospital operation. The board shall not have the authority to, and I want to go to B, purchase or make commitments to purchase capital improvements exceeding $50,000 without the prior county approval. So that tells me, when reading that contract that we had for $25,000, or that group, the purchase for $25,000, does not need to go to the county commission.
Except we're trying to get funds from the county commission.
Yeah, the only
If
thing
we were
is that.
using our own funds, we wouldn't have to
Yeah.
go to.
When you say,
Right.
but it comes out of capital outlay.
Yeah, what we were saying is that the county healthcare trust fund side,
Uh-huh.
and, the county, the 1 cent sales tax. The 1 cent sales tax has the 50% capital outlay side of money.
And can you find that anywhere in writing?
Which-
Go back to the county attorney and ask him where the 50% came from.
I hadn't seen that in writing.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, per se.
So go ahead with your
Okay,
explanation.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that in order for us to get the money out of that capital outlay side of money, we have to get approval from the county commission.
I don't see that anywhere.
Okay.
Well,
I would go ask that question.
Yeah, I asked Aaron.
How would
You're
we
either
ask
an
it?
autonomous board
I'm
that's
not
here
asking
to
that question.
advisory, as you're either advisory type board, and which you are, and these bylaws give you those type of options, or else, why are you here?
Yeah, but we don't have any control over that account. I mean, right now, if I make a purchase for that, internally, if we make a purchase for that instrument that Jennifer needs, operationally, if I make it, I can make it. But if I say, okay, Aaron, I need to make a purchase out of the capital outlay side, I have to come to the county commission and ask them, you know, for that.
We can still purchase it.
I would still ask the
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
because I think you're putting extra steps in the
Okay,
process.
okay, I'll ask her. If that's the case, I can just send her an email and say, hey, we need to purchase.
Right, we're gonna purchase this piece of
This is
equipment for
what we've decided.
$25,000, it's within our,
Yeah. But
Domain.
Yeah, okay.
I don't, no. We don't need to change up what we're doing right now. Okay, historically, we wanted something, the county, they want what to fund with. I don't blame them, okay? And I think we need to keep doing exactly the way we've been doing it. If we want to get money, we do the commission, we tell them what we're getting, and we do it. We don't skip the commission. What you're talking about is just, you're gonna put it right back on the, I don't think that's the way to do it, no. That's just changing something arbitrarily, what's been historically done. You start doing that, then, you know, can we do it? I don't think we can. That's not our money. That's not our fund. That belongs to the county, okay? They give us 50% of what they collect. They don't give us the whole thing. So if we want money from that fund, I think the commission controls that fund, we need to do exactly what we're doing. Just because the document says that we can't do it, don't mean we should or could.
I don't think we need their permission to
We can buy it.
authorize the purchase. We just need their permission to get the money to pay for it.
David goes to the
Bottom line.
commission, they're gonna ask, has the board approved this person?
Yeah.
Now, that's a
And it
separate
did.
issue about where the money comes from. Right. Totally separate.
Right.
Totally separate. We're going that route there. I think.
All right, so going back to the finance committee.
going back to Zoom.
Zoom, yeah, going back to Zoom.
Let's find out about
Yeah,
that.
I found out about Zoom because we can do a Zoom for some of the members. I think that'll be good to do that, you know, because I definitely, you know, think.
Well, somebody's got to be here to physically
Yeah,
sign.
All right. So first of all, we need to appoint a chair, you know, so anybody want to be the chair?
My point.
We're gonna have to get somebody from over here.
Okay.
I'm not driving.
Okay.
I ain't driving 60 miles here and 60 miles.
All right, all right.
Well, wait a minute, you're on. Would you like to be the chair? Okay. all right.
How did I know that was coming?
John, let me.
That's where I see too many
let me
fingers
bring something
pointing.
up right quick too, and this might seem a little trivial, but now, particularly with distance you drive, you know, you could file for them.
Pardon?
For them, I guess, expenses
To do what?
to come over here.
No, I ain't doing that.
Well, I'm just telling you, okay? Doesn't seem kind of tight to me. I don't know, I might do it.
What's your hourly rate to drive over here?
Yeah, that's a different story.
No, we're not doing hourly rate. No, we're not doing that.
There's a volunteer board.
At 5 o'clock in the evening time.
It's not less than 200.
All right, let's move on. We got that
Okay,
settled.
we got that, and then we need, we need a couple of members to volunteer for the board, who want to be on the board. Okay, done.
I'll do
No.
it if we can do it on
Zoom,
Zoom.
okay, so we'll,
Well, we're going with two people. Okay. You got a chair, you got a member. Everybody else will be off.
You're the vice chair.
okay, okay, and then, but any member can attend that meeting.
Yeah, sure they
Yeah,
can.
yeah, but we just
Why
need,
don't we, like Kristen, she's not here, it'd be easy to push it off on her.
Yeah. She lives in town. She lives in town. Well, that would make her want to come to more meetings, wouldn't it? I mean, you know, you're not here, you get volunteered.
All right, let's move on.
So we
Let's
have-
move on,
so we have
y'all.
Burgess, and then we have a
I don't want,
alternate,
just
John.
because they're not here, I don't want them to get left out.
Yeah, right.
All right, let's go. Let's get back to this. We got that settled.
Okay, that's,
Okay.
And then we'll do the frequency, we'll find out the frequency of the meetings. Now, did y'all get a chance to review the AP policy process here?
Yes, and I think we need to sit down and go over it. I think it's a little premature if we can do it quickly.
I mean,
I think I'm more concerned about the way it's worded as far as steps that are necessary and to expedite the payable itself. There's got to be some type of priority level as to those that absolutely have to go out today as opposed, oh no, they need further verification. And I'll go back to what I was trying to explain earlier. There is a little simple system, it's called the red, green, blue folders, okay? And you know, red is a top priority, it's got to be all packaged together. I don't want to put so much paperwork on somebody that says, I got to go chase this down or chase that down to get that signature. Why isn't somebody already done this?
Understood. So as it's utilities, our contract with our Southland physicians, you know, set amount of money that
Right.
we have. Okay.
And then you have some that are expenditures that are set amounts that are not going to change, that are, I want to call them ordinary. Those, the ordinary list ought to be on the right side. We can just look down and that's nothing changed from last month. It's gone. All right? Then the red ones are the ones that we need to pay particular attention to. And what are we looking for? We're looking for approval by management as far as the expenditure, whether it be somebody in one of the departments, or is it the CEO has to approve it? We're going to look for that signature. Okay. We're going to also, at some time in point, we're going to come back and say, okay, can you give us a list of invoices that we have paid for this group, and let me see the contract.
Sure.
Those type of questions to ensure that your internal control is in place and you are watching out, and that, okay, we don't have to worry so much about the signature as we do about who we're sending money to. Okay?
Right. With the paperwork behind the signature,
That's correct.
that's what we're looking for, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
And when I read that, I think we could tighten that up.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Mr. Barry has a great point here, because basically that would cut down the amount of lists that we have to actually go through and specifically ask about each one of these things. But like if it's recurring, and that should be a quick sign off. If it's a new one that we haven't seen before, or something out of the ordinary that we may have a question on, then that would be a separate issue and something we could dig a little deeper into. But I agree. I agree.
Is it a contractual issue, or is it a recurring?
Yeah.
Recurring.
Or is it just something that came up one time deal that, you know?
Because the water was bad.
Yeah, something. Who knows?
So we can make the changes. So John, do you want to take another? Do you want to grab that copy with you and make some highlights on it?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. 'Cause now we email it to you
I
too.
got it out.
You'll work with Heather with it, and then
Beautiful.
once we get it back from John, we'll send it over to Shula, let him review it, and then we'll bring it back to the board.
Well, I think.
I know it's getting colder and colder in here.
It's been good.
Mind sharing your jacket with me?
I think all the board members.
Yeah.
So John.
Review.
Good.
Yeah, John and Heather, and we'll put David Bowling in that also. They'll work on that, Jason Bonner, and then we'll bring it back for you.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you, Heather.
All right, that Michael Kozar, we'll get to you in a minute. Thank you all for your time. Greatly appreciate it. Before I get in my report, I didn't have this in, but I just got an email about the Lennox EMS station groundbreaking, and I want to give you these dates so that you can put it on your calendar. On Friday, July 11th at 10:30. John Barry already know. Why you didn't give us the information, John? I mean, he knows this stuff and haven't even invited us to it. So Friday, July 11th at 10:30, groundbreaking ceremony for the new Lennox EMS station. What I do, I have Heather send this email out to all the board members as well. Make sure Michael Kozar and David Bowling get a copy of that as well. This is a good occasion. The building is beautiful by the pictures here, and so this is a very exciting opportunity there. Lennox Village.
Where is it?
Lennox Village. Yeah, the new EMS station. You remember, James? Yes. Yes. James? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be located down there where Spring Street is in Lanark off 98.
Mm-hmm.
You take Spring Street, go straight down to Oak Street, right at the dead end. You go across there, you'll run into the new station. Building.
This was grant we got.
Sorry?
This was a grant to build that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some money from the Florida legislature.
Okay. So, good thing they won't be paying anything to lease anything now, right?
It'll be our first station we actually own.
Oh.
How far and?
We on this station.
Location, and is it gonna put you further, I mean, it's gonna put you further that way? What's the time distance?
It's just like, you know where the fire department is down there where we were? Well, we used to be down in Lanark at the fire station.
That's where they were.
And then, so then we moved up to Carabel, so it's not really about 5-7 miles difference. So yeah, it's a little difference, but it'll be closer to Alligator Point, but.
Saves 10 minutes to Alligator Point.
Yeah.
10 minutes. You went to Alligator?
He goes 90.
Okay.
No, it saves 10 minutes. You don't get there.
Very good.
Got a heavy foot, you know.
Okay, James says it says 8 to 10 minutes to Alligator Point. So,
Okay.
so it's pretty good. It'll be in the middle. So,
So what time is the groundbreaking?
10:30 a.m.
10:30.
You're gonna send something out?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Heather should be. You should be getting that. You may have it already. Next time, John, if you get these announcements, please give them to us so we'll know about it ahead of time.
I got it the same time you did.
All right. So thank you all. Also, in my report, we have the Rural Hospital Capital Improvement Grant. This is a grant, that the state legislature funded for rural hospitals. We get it every year. We had a short turnaround time for it, and some of the items that we use for this particular grant is $455,000, well, $454,545. $28,000 we were used to try to bring this room up to a more acoustic meeting room and training room, for meeting for staff as well as board meetings. $25,000 we used for our bathrooms, facilities here in the hospital. The bike flow repair replacement would be for $10,000. And that's the purpose of the bike flow preventers, to prevent the reverse flow of water back into the affordable water supply. The laundry equipment replacement, we also looking at some laundry equipment here at the hospital for $27,000. And the big ticket item is our Omnicell medication dispensing cabinet unit that we have here that is a little outdated, and that's like a $245,000 unit that we want to replace. So that money would be able to replace that. Intercom system, right now, when we do intercoms over the hospital, it comes through our phones, but this would be a system that would page, through the halls and all of that here at the hospital. The emergency department call system, we updated our call system, and then we want to add another portion to that, and that would be for $10,000. And then the DESA scan machine, that's another equipment that we've been thinking about purchasing. And so this DEXA scan machine, we will purchase that machine so we can begin to offer DESA scans to our patients here in the county. Also, the ED coordinating has requested that we redo the ED cabinets, in the ED rooms there. That'll be $17,000. And so this grant was submitted. Now, we don't know if it's going to be approved yet, but many times they do approve it. And normally when we do get the money, we get it around December. And so this will be some other money, grant money, that will be on our books until we begin to pay for that. And I'll keep you updated on when the money comes in as we move towards these projects David Bowling, he's already talked about the East and West Rural Health Assessment. Last meeting, I talked about the 340B HRSA audit. This was a very detailed audit. One thing about the audit, they made 3 recommendations, 3 areas of improvement. They didn't have any findings, and that's kind of rare for HRSA to come in and not have a finding with the 340B program. It was a very intense audit. Really, this was our first time. Our Blue and Company consultant helped us get through this audit, and they made some recommendations along for our policy and procedures. Wes and Dr. Alyssa Kramer will begin to work on the 3 recommendations that they recommended us updating our policy and procedures. One of the recommendations they mentioned areas of improvement was auditing template, auditing of our contract pharmacy. We do internal audits. We believe that we sent that information to them. They kind of overlooked it, but we definitely will begin to make sure we're implementing that. And that's just that every month, Alyssa goes through our contract pharmacies to make sure that we're billing properly for the 340B program. Medicaid managed Medicaid. They ask about us adding certain things to our policy and procedures. So we'll work on that, and then we'll bring those policy and procedures back to the board, the 340B policy and procedures back to the board. But other than that, we were very surprised they didn't find the findings, because HRSA always found a finding with audit. And David, I don't know if you want to speak to that or not. I know Michael is on the phone too.
No, not much else to add on that, David, other than, congratulations. It looks like the 340B program here is doing well. I know that, as David mentioned, Alyssa through Blue, our partner, is doing a great job helping to manage that program as well. And to get through an audit, first audit, limited findings like this, that's pretty impressive. Absolutely. So, yeah.
And also, we talked about the Baker Tilly operational assessment. Just to let you know, we are working on our IT policies. We have about 28 templates that we're going through now. That was recommended. So we'll make sure we bring those to the board as well for a review of that. I talked about the physician who was an allergist and clinical immunologist specialist already when Dr. Conrad was here. The county budget workshops. It's July 24th and 25th. More than likely, we'll be at July 24th meeting, the afternoon of that meeting, to present a preliminary draft budget that we present every year to the county. I want to also thank Alliant again for the 19 pallets of water, pallets that they donated to the city. Also, the City of Apalachicola water float tank is out there. With AquaPro, we talked about that as well. Now, I had on my report, I took it off. We want to talk about service lines. I would like to probably put that off to the next meeting, so Kristen can be here as well, get her input, because she's clinical, and so I know that's coming down a little bit on the report when we talk about service lines. So we'll want to try to put that at the next meeting. If that's okay.
I want it to be brought up at every meeting. Look all the time. Folks in here that know a lot more than what service lines. Some of the services we can offer, I've never heard of. Okay. Maybe you got all these other hospitals, something that we can bring more people to the hospital. You got a plus on the electric side, or close to it. The more folks we bring to this hospital, and they see the customer service they get, they'll be coming back. How about that?
Okay. All right, and that's all I have. Michael Kozar. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So Mike will be next up here.
Okay. David, are you ready for me? Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
There's a couple things that I wanted to mention to you that Align is currently working on. We are planning for our executive teams to meet in Louisville in September. And one of the purposes of our meeting there is that, as we discussed at the end of last year, first of this year, some of the service enhancements that we were putting into place. And I know we talked about this earlier with the 340B, physician practice, management, strategic pricing, cost report, those kind of services. And we want to bring the teams together as we've had about 8 or 9 months of having this implemented to get the feedback and to find out what's working, what's not working, and what could we improve, or what additions to what we've been able to roll out has worked. So I wanted to inform the board of that. The other thing, I know it's kind of early to put it out there, but we are planning our board retreat. This year we had it in Pensacola Beach there. Next year we're planning to have it in Destin. It will be in early March for that meeting. Another thing that will be coming out, and actually yesterday was one of the first sessions of 3. We're trying to tap into some of the expertise of our executive teams at each hospital. And one of the things that we conducted yesterday for all of our hospitals is what we call survey readiness. This is when either you're being surveyed by the state or by Joint Commission. What are the things that you need to be prepared for? What are the items that you need to have ready for the surveyors to come out? And the feedback from yesterday's session has been very positive. That we had our CEO, Angel Portman from our hospital in Breckenridge, along with Chris Smith, conduct that meeting, and I think it was very well attended. And again, the initial feedback has been very positive of the information. A lot of it is just a refresher and to remind folks what they need to have ready for when these surveyors enter your door. The other thing that we've been putting together is a council on risk and quality. One of the things that a lot of our hospitals have had is people in those roles are more likely new to that duty in their organization. And how can we help them, be more successful in the roles of risk and quality? We're also rolling one out with compliance. Compliance is always an issue out there, and some of our programs need to bolster their involvement with compliance in the organization. Also, we are probably late summer. We'll be rolling out again our Press Ganey Employee Engagement Survey. This is a survey that Alliant does for our hospitals every 2 years, and it helps to engage the engagement, excuse me for that, of the employees of our organization. And where are areas that we can make improvements to make sure, as we all know, staffing our organizations is one of the biggest challenges. I mean, we've heard, from various areas that they have vacancies in nursing or EMS or in lab. How do we ensure that not only are we recruiting people to the thing, but how are we keeping them and how are we engaged? And the other big factor, it's been proven time and time again that the more engaged an employee is, the better patient satisfaction ultimately ends up being. So we also will be finalizing our salary survey, looking at our organizations and what are the competitive salaries that are being offered there throughout our organization. So I just wanted to take a minute and outline some of those things that Alliant is working on for our organization. Be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Where do you stand on, excuse me. Where do you stand with your lobbyists right now on trying to get the 340B program and the swing bed program brought under the RHC?
You know, that is something that we're working with the National Rural Hospital Association and NRHA. They are very active in looking at that. There was some positive things that happened in the last couple of days as far as I believe some senators have introduced some language. We don't know if they'll make it into this big, beautiful bill, but would bolster funding also for rural hospitals throughout the country. So utilizing our work with Premier, being a part of Alliance Purchasing, which is part of Premier, their lobbyists are very involved in moving the organization, the rural healthcare and healthcare in general forward, but one of our big lobbying groups, the National Rural Hospital Association, is taking a very active role in trying to ensure that not only do we keep funding levels at acceptable means for the organization, but how do we continue to expand the capabilities of the rural emergency hospital? That program is still, not gaining the traction that I think a lot of people had thought, mainly because of, as Mr. Berry, you outlined, the 340B and the swing bed component of that not being included along with some other areas makes it, a difficult decision for organizations to go. Where we see right now facilities that will probably continue to expand into the rural emergency hospital. Again, if that current language in the bill stays where it will allow hospitals that have closed in 2000 and moved the date back to 2014, if that language remains in that, where I think you'll see a lot of the movement with the rural emergency hospital is in the area of hospitals that have lost their hospital already, or communities that have lost their hospital already, and trying to reopen that. We are currently monitoring that for 2 hospitals we're working with, one in Georgia and actually the Graceville Hospital in Graceville, Florida, where it would be beneficial to reopen those because they're closed. Communities don't have health care there. But, it makes it difficult. So we're optimistic that we'll see some movement as to those being added into, the rural emergency hospital scope of services that they could provide.
And then let me just mention the big beautiful bill, like Michael Kozar was mentioning, about the money that some Senate Republicans have wanted to add for rural hospitals because they're looking at the impact of the Medicaid cuts for a lot of the rural hospitals. If it goes in effect now, a lot of rural hospitals will probably close, to be honest with you. And so they're looking at adding some funding so that rural hospitals, can get that funding, can lessen the impact of those Medicaid cuts once they begin to trickle down. But to date, you have 41 hospitals that have converted to rural emergency hospital. One hospital just did it maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, in Kentucky.
Where are these Medicaid cuts? Where's the listing of those?
Yeah, I hadn't seen the listing. I've been getting some references from Florida Hospital Association, and right now I hadn't seen anything specifically, but I'm sure they'll begin to drill down where these particular cuts will come from.
So we really don't know if there's
We really don't know
Medicaid cuts.
what'll happen is that if the Medicaid cuts happen, you know, the states that expanded to Medicaid, those will be the ones that really would be hit hard the first. You know, Florida probably won't get hit as hard, you know, because we were not an expanded state. They'll be looking at a lot of different criteria for Medicaid, recipients, you know, the recertification process of that. So that will begin to hamper them as well. So once the bill gets flushed out, you know, we'll know where those cuts will be at.
Well, David, if I could add here, you know, one of the things that, you know, is being focused with the Medicaid cut is, you know, the states that are how states draw down that money. And that is one of the contentions in the current language of the bill is that would eliminate the amount of money that the state could and hospitals could, you know, because we all pay basically, it's for lack of a better word, a tax. And, you know, currently the regulations say that states can pull down up to 6% of their Medicaid budget by, you know, matching up to 6% and then pull down that money from the federal level. There has been discussions about moving that down. You know, Florida, for example, currently only matches about 3.6%. One of the things the Florida Hospital Association is looking at is can they increase that amount to the 6% right now? Because in the language there is a provision that states that are at that max right now would be grandfathered. So to combat the new cap and limits on how much a state can pull down, you know, can the state of Florida increase that amount in this short period of time to be able to qualify for that grandfathered in at that process? I know it's complicated, and I don't know if we all really understand the full effects of it, but the biggest thing is the amount the states would be able to pull down from the federal government in the bill.
Does that bill also include eligibility for citizen eligibility requirements?
Yeah, it does. You know, it requires work requirements and eligibility, and I think where a lot of discussion has been around is how many people that are currently on Medicaid that may not meet these new eligibility requirements, how many of those are going to be transitioned off of Medicaid, which would have a, you know, effect on us because somebody that was on Medicaid, at least we were getting something for payments on those, even though Medicaid doesn't pay us as a cost of what we provide for care, but it would remove some of those folks because of the new eligibility requirements.
So you got more self. I mean, you'll have more self-pay patients. We're about, Franklin County could be maybe about 17% Medicaid population. You know, but during the pandemic, we were a little higher. We were maybe 15 to 17%. Last time I looked.
Okay, anything else? Mar? Hello.
No, I don't know.
Okay, any other board members got any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the donation too. Are y'all hearing me okay? Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay.
Foundation.
Foundation, go with me.
Thought he was going to miss me again.
I know.
All right. I got some notes from Colleen. The first thing is coming up is the 3rd of July festivities down here in Apalachicola. The foundation has a lemonade provider, Lemonade and Sunshine. They're going to have a tent and they're going to be selling lemonade, which is going to have some benefits for the organization, foundation, because they're getting a percentage of the sales. And also, we're going to have a raffle there for tickets for the gala later on in November. So for that, there's also part of that is going to be another tent that we're helping support Kristen Willis on, which is the Basket of Hope. They're going to do a shrimp, coleslaw, cold drinks, paper products are being provided. I think it's a shrimp boil, and ACE is involved in helping with that. All proceeds going to Hoyt Vaughn, who has medical expenses. He's a longtime community member and employee at ACE. So that's going to help him. We need volunteers for the shifts. It's not going to be, I think they've already got the people that are going to cook the food. I think they just need people to man the table up front and provide, swapping out food for money and money for food. So I think the shifts are like only 2 hours, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, and 7 to 9, which is the end of the event anyway. But we have a sign-up sheet over here on the bulletin board, and you can contact Colleen directly if you want to volunteer. Certainly, we are looking for help for that, and whatever you can do would be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I'll be there for the entire time.
Yeah, and the benefit also, Mr. Hort, his wife was a long time Weems Memorial Hospital worker, and she worked here maybe about 24 years ago. So anyway, we're just everybody putting their hands to the plow. If you can come out and volunteer, hour, 2, great, appreciate it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Also, the gala that's coming up, we're not really calling it a gala anymore, but I don't know if that name sticks in my head. It's going to be at the Apalachicola Yacht Club. It's $100 a ticket. There's going to be fine, small tapa food. It's not going to be a sit-down, so we're not doing tables per se, but we will give discounts for, I think, a group of tickets if they're bought together. I have to talk to Colleen about that more directly, but right now it's $100 a ticket. There's going to be live entertainment, music. We just brought on a neat vendor who's going to be doing oysters, and they actually had built a boat, so they're in the boat serving the oysters, which is kind of cool. And especially since our tagline is rising tide rises all boats. It's kind of funny that we have that. But we do need some volunteers for that as well. I mean, we're pre and post event set up and take down. There's not as much as there was at the Armory. You know how much that was at the Armory. You helped take down those tables. That was a son of a gun, wasn't it? But we won't have that here, but it'll be a lot more streamlined. The bar is going to be not a cash bar. It's an open bar. So they'll be serving liquor as well. So music, liquor, and food. Who can complain? There will be a silent auction, so we are looking for some donations, but we're trying to do more service-related donations rather than actual items. That became rather cumbersome, so, fishing trip or, stay overnight at somebody's place on St. George Island. I think we've got a couple trip ones already set up, so that's the kind of thing we're looking for, and certainly promotion of the event. We do have a bunch of scans here, and we'd love the board to get on board with, picking up their tickets on an early basis, which would be great. And we do have the scan that you can do to get tickets, or you can text Weems at 801-801, which will bring you right there to tickets. So that's what I have for that. And just to transition quickly to the Teams Franklin meeting that I had just a couple days ago. Not a lot really happened at this meeting. They did have a public-private P3 unsolicited proposal policy adoption, so they had to vote that in, their adoption for their P3, which is government and private sector combination organization, and how they were going to accept unsolicited RFQs for for their policies, for their programs. We talked a little bit about engineering the land and how that's going to move forward in developing that. We've got to get in order to start, we got to take that 26-acre parcel and figure out the wetlands exposure and what can be developed and put that into a trust. So that's the beginning portion of the organization's push, and it's going well. I got David Boland. I twisted his arm to get involved in helping me with the subcommittee for hospitals and allied health, and between the two of us, we'll push our agenda down the road with this organization to make sure that we get the housing and we get the what we need in that program for us as an organization. So that'll be fun. That's all I got.
That's not it. I've mentioned customer service. I'm gonna keep on mentioning it. New ways to talk to.
New line growth opportunity.
Yeah, we'll do that at the next meeting. John has something.
I got two items. One is Florida Agency of Healthcare Administration. Is that ACA? How come they can get into next door and advertise in different areas and we can't? That's one.
I don't understand what you said.
But next door is the next door app. We've been trying to use that, and apparently I'm on it. I can advertise. And I think as a business, Christy Terry is really trying to do that. I can ask her, come back with a report on that. But Florida Department of Management Emergency Management can get in it. So
yes.
Because I've been looking at it. But we cannot, Weems somehow cannot get into advertise on that Nextdoor app. Nextdoor is a social media app. That some people are not familiar with it, but a lot of people is.
Also, there is an article in there about the Airlift Florida team that's based in Crawfordville. How does that helicopter service, medical helicopter service, affect us? Are we able to access it? If so, how do we access it?
And James, come up here. Yeah, really, it should enhance what we do here. We met with them, and they go ahead, James.
Anyways, that they want us to use them. They're begging us to use them for just simple transports. It doesn't have to be an alert category like a stroke alert or a trauma alert or a heart attack. It doesn't have to be that. It can be simply that we have only one ALS ambulance in the county, and it can be somebody with a stomach pain. They'll fly it for us. They'll take it as routine transport. So what it is anymore, and some of y'all might not know, they don't charge an arm and a leg anymore. They can't what they call balance bill any longer. They used to be able to charge $30,000, $40,000, and the patient would be stuck with that. Now the patient's responsible for a copay, which is basically whatever their health insurance copay is, that's all the patient pays. The rest of the bill is sent to their insurance. What their insurance pays is what their insurance pays. Everything else is washed. So that's why they're turning their business around to say, we need 100 flights, we need 150 flights, whatever, a month, so we can stay in business, so we can stay afloat. And so we are going to try to utilize them as much as we can to a certain extent. I mean, I'm not going to fly out someone's got a back pain for 2 weeks. I'm not going to do that. But if it gets to the point where we only have one ambulance in the county, and say Weems has a transfer, say let's go ahead and have Weems call the helicopter and do the transfer. I mean, they're perfectly fine with that.
Good.
How many landing locations that are certified or approved by DOT do we have in the county?
Let's see, we have one at the Apalachicola Airport. We have one at the sheriff's office in the field there on the side of the sheriff's office. We have one that it's hard to use. It's certified, which is the St. George Island Airport. It's certified, however, the helicopters are not allowed to fly over water because unless they have pontoon floats, deflated, implorable floats in case they go down. So the only person that had that was Shanskare, and Shanskare no longer serves this area. So none of the survival flight doesn't have them. Air Methodist doesn't. None of the services around here have those pontoons. So nobody around here can actually fly over water.
So does that do us any good as far as coming from Crawfordville? We've got to come across Okalaki Bay to get to us, don't
Well, no, they fly. I mean, they fly on the mainland side. They don't fly over the water. I mean, they literally. I mean, if it's a small area, they can shoot over. But it's something like, you know, from our bay, it's too long for them to actually get enough height to get over in case they have to go
So
down.
there's basically some type of restriction. I won't take that any more time, but there are some type of flight restrictions with regard to
Only for the
St.
islands
George Island.
and Dog
But
Island.
the rest of the county has access to it.
Right.
And do we have some liaison as far as somebody that works with whoever they accept billings from, what insurance they accept?
Yeah, but if
Who would be responsible or look into that?
well, Heather with Revenue Cycle would be doing that, but if somebody comes in, if they got to fly somebody out, they got to fly them out. They can't just say, well, let me check your insurance.
Right.
You know, you don't.
Have y'all discussed, I can't remember what it's called, y'all discussed the new law that they have?
But the no balance bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told them, I said, if they don't charge the $50,000. It's only copays now,
Your insurance was okay.
Yeah.
and that's all I get.
It'd be just like anything else.
Yeah, just like any kind of emergency, when you come in, you don't take insurance at first.
Do we need to do anything with that, so the citizenry would know that service is available?
Now, we hadn't did a public relations on that. Pretty much we can, but you're just not. You know, you're kind of. You know, you want to offer the services, but you don't want to say, okay, I'm more partial to this service than somebody else.
Right. We're not going to offer the patient, say, you want to go by ambulance or helicopter. We're not going to offer.
No. We're talking about the service. No, we're talking about the helicopter services. We're talking about like the helicopter
I was
services.
struck with,
Right.
how do I not get in touch with these people?
No, we don't.
Our dispatch does.
Dispatch. Yeah.
We call our dispatch, say, hey, call and see what the closest available helicopter is. If Crawfordville's out, it's going to be survival flight out of Tallahassee.
So it's just another helicopter services.
So that's information that needs to get to the public.
And from inside, we just call the service directly. And if they can't fly who we initially called, they'll call the other services.
And so really it's not basically, the only thing we need to get out to the public is that when you get a helicopter ride, you know, it should be balanced bill. Your bills should not be $50,000, $100,000. You can post that. Yeah.
Right.
And of course, people are going to be weary of that anyway. They're going to be like, no, take me by ambulance.
Well, people know, 'cause we've been burning the rotors off that chopper since it's been there.
I saw two of you in EMS trucks going to Tallahassee at the same time. And I think one person I know was in one of them when I was coming the opposite direction. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody got anything else? Nothing? Meeting adjourned.